Yes. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 25 of the Tomato Podcast. And where do I start? We have a very special guest. And this is actually so out of the blue. I wasn't planning to do this today. And actually, very, very funny. Yesterday, I was so close on cancelling.
Oh, really?
I was literally so close because... obviously, when Cadet passed away, today they're having like a gathering at Hyde Park, like a sort of like a memorial thing where they all get together and just remember him. So I wanted to go over there, shoot a live podcast there, and then I thought, because that news really fucked me up, like really got to me hard. And I was on Twitter yesterday, and everyone was saying the same thing. I don't know this guy. I listened to his music. I wasn't a massive fan, but his death really rocked me and quite a lot of people hard.
Yeah, because I saw a lot of the news that was going around, and there seemed to be such a Twitter bubble about everything that had happened and why he had such an impact, and particularly because it wasn't as if he's been around for decades.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. His career has only been sort of elevated in the last year or so, and I think the shock of his death is because it was so like no one could have called it. And we'll get into all of this, but I was really, really close to cancelling because I wanted to go over to the park, but I was like, no. I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm fine. I need to come over to James and do it because this is going to be epic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm with James. I don't know what else to say.
I don't need an introduction.
I was trying to think of a nickname for you, but I was like, no, let's not make it cringy.
James is good.
James. I'm with James.
And I'm very happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me. It's good to catch up as well.
Very good. So for anyone that doesn't know, James is an ex-work colleague, but one of the most bubbliest. Bubbliest? I don't know if that's a word.
That's a word.
But, yeah.
It is now. We'll...
Really, really sound, chill guy. And, so excited to have him on the show. So episode 25, and this is actually a very special episode because we are a quarter of a way to a century. Episode 25, we're a quarter of the way there.
Quarter centennial?
Yeah, quarter centennial. Let's do it.
Incredible.
So James,
I'm so happy to be here, man.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Here on our podcast show, we talk about weekly trending news, specifically in the urban sort of community, and do feel free to say whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm not. There's no rules. I recently went on a podcast called Culture Talk, and there was a number of rules. No swearing, no getting personal. Swear as much as you want, get as personal as you want. Let's fucking do this. So I'm really, really glad to be here. Actually, we're at James's flat, and he's been kind enough to make me a cup of tea. So I feel like this is the first time I feel like I'm actually doing a podcast. Because when you're doing it in a car, it's a bit weird. Like you just see people walking past you and giving you weird looks, especially in the daytime when people are like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
So this is the
Two
first
dudes
time
in the car for a while as well.
Yeah.
Two of you, like, hang on, what's going on here? Is money changing hands?
I mean,
what's going on?
It's worse in the evening when the windows get steamed up. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, this is probably the first time I feel like I'm doing a podcast because, nice sofas and, really chilled living room, got a cup of tea, like, really.
If you want another one, I'm more than happy to get that. We can have a whiskey, whatever you fancy.
This will probably fuck me up for the rest of the night because tea, coffee and energy drink, if I have it after 2 o'clock, I'm fucked. If I have it after 2 o'clock, I'm not sleeping until like 2 a.m.
No way, man.
Yeah, really bad. Like, I can't stand caffeine at all.
Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have given it to you.
No, I'm happy, honestly. I'm fine, I don't care.
It's going to be wired for the rest of the day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. James, again, really, I'm really grateful for that you're here. Do you want to start, like, just telling us who you are, what you're doing, and give us a bit of background about yourself?
Well, as Farhan mentioned, we go not way back, but we used to work together at Ogilvy. Did some nice work together. Actually, mate, so for those of you that don't know, we used to work for an advertising agency, and Farhan and I did a shoot for basically recipes. We did this massive
oh my god,
shoot.
Awesome!
So much fun. We got to eat loads of good food. Well, actually, the recipe book that we made is right over there.
No
I'll show
way.
it to you afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
It just got finished. So I'm a creative in the advertising industry. Basically, my job is to do the pretty pictures that everyone sees out in the world.
You do a pretty good job. I mean, I remember the first time I came in contact with you, not even in contact with you, the first time I saw you, and it was at the company monthly update. and you got up and did the presentation. I just sat there thinking, who the fuck is this guy? Whoever
This
he is,
long-haired
he's
posh
fucking
guy.
good at what he's doing, because
Thanks,
you
man.
were coming up with some really long words, and I was like, shit, he's good.
Really bad at my job, but my vocabulary is out of this world.
mate, I was
really
sold.
good. Thanks, man.
I was sold.
Thanks, man. It was a shame that we didn't lose you, but it was a shame you
Yeah.
went on to do better things,
Yeah.
because it's just not quite been the
Yeah,
same.
what's it saying?
It's not been the same. It's just like you know.
Has someone taken the role or not? Or have they done what
Yeah,
most people do and just split the roles?
Did you know Charlotte? Was
Yes, Charlotte. Yeah, Shoya Torora.
Yeah. So she's taken on a bit more your role and that sort of thing, and she's awesome. She's absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
We're doing some better work now, which is all good. We've had a bit of a shake up. We've rebranded and everything. But
Yeah.
Anyway,
That, yeah.
the rebranding of an advertising agency is boring as anything. So, but yeah. So basically, that's me. But then my career sort of in podcasts and radio goes way back. So I used to have a radio show back at uni.
Yeah.
And then I was an actor from probably the age of 8 for a long time, which was loads of fun, and that kind of, as no one's ever heard of me, I wasn't very good at it. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell me what you appeared on.
few BBC dramas here and there, which is good fun. I'm not gonna
don't name
names
names,
just because then otherwise everyone starts googling.
Yeah.
Then photos of me doing really embarrassing adverts come up and they get printed out and they're all over work, and I just don't want that to happen.
Oh no, we don't want that.
Ever again. There's one very unflattering one I'll tell you about sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then I thought I saw this. I saw your post on Insta and thought, you know what, I want to do that.
I was gonna say, like, what made you like? Because I was really surprised when you messaged me, because I was praying for, because I mean, with all due respect, he's not gonna listen to this, but my current co-host is shambolic. He is terrible at what he does. I feel like half of the time I'm speaking to myself, so he's not gonna hear it. It's fine, but I'll tell him, when the time comes. And I was praying, I was hoping that someone please message me so that I know that the show isn't a total disaster, and there's some interest of getting involved. And then when you messaged me, I was like, huh? So tell me what happened. Like, what? How?
Yeah, I think it was just because we spoke very briefly before we sort of turned the mics on, but I've just sort of in November went through a very very unpleasant breakup, and it was all pretty bad. And I sort of made a promise to myself after I'd got over the sort of initial real low of that breakup and betrayal and whatnot, to think, right, this year I'm just going to say yes to stuff. I'm going to do stuff. I'm not going to wallow. And literally the first thing that happened after I made sort of that, when you make a mental decision, it just sort of clicks. First thing that happened was your Insta post, and I went,
amazing.
Yeah, that's
good
it.
timing, man.
I'm going to do something cool. I'm going to do something new, something I've not done for a while. Particularly with subject matter that I don't know huge huge things about. I might provide a slightly different perspective to you. I thought, you know what, this sounds good. And then obviously listened to a couple of the podcasts, and that cemented my decision.
What did you think? What did you think of them?
I really liked them because they were very conversational, and I find a lot of podcasts, because I don't think I'm as an avid podcast listener as you are. But I find so many of them are very staged, and there's sort of a very regimented structure to them, whereas yours is either just you or whoever you're with or whatever, just chatting. It's just friends just chatting about stuff and about relevant stuff and things that actually need to be taught, need to be spoken about. And I thought it sounded really interesting. I thought, you know what, I want to do that.
Fantastic. Wow. That's probably the first bit of positive feedback that we've got in ages. I mean, it's funny you say that, because only the beginning of this week, I woke up to it's not really a mean comment, but it was like a really heartfelt comment someone sent on one of the YouTube, on our YouTube channels, on one of the videos. It was like, somewhere along the lines of, you're on episode 24 and your view count is pretty much embarrassing. You don't really I think the message that they were trying to get at is, what you're doing is informing people about what's happened, but you're not really dissecting it. So, and I read that comment, and at first it hit me. I was like, shit, man, that's so rude, that's so mean, like, and then afterwards, as I was brushing my teeth, I was like, he's got a point. We don't really, I mean, and to all fairness to me and the show, it's been quite difficult because half of the time I do just like end up speaking to myself, because as I said, my co-host is a bit useless. He does seem to just scroll on his phone half the time. So, fine, I accept that comment. But this is a new direction, and I have made a more conscious effort to lay off the research, because I love to really delve into a subject. So whatever we're talking about, I like to go into it, really, cover all grounds, and then just lay it out. And I realize that's probably not the best thing to do. I do want to.
You as a person as well. You're very. If you do something, you
wanna
do anything with half measures. Like,
yes.
So I think if you get interested in something, I can just see you going, well, I'm going to learn everything about this.
Yes.
And then I can make a valid point about it on my podcast later. Yeah,
absolutely.
I get that.
So now I just want to more focus on, I guess, giving more of an opinion on what I think and blah blah blah. So yeah, we're here. This is very exciting.
Also, I don't think you should be worried about someone having issues with a view count at episode 24. Like, nothing just suddenly appears.
No, absolutely.
It takes time. And I think it's
I totally agree, man.
Small-minded to think that a podcast which doesn't have financial backing or doesn't have, no offense to you, a famous name behind it,
for sure,
to suddenly be getting millions of views by the 24th episode.
You've hit the nail on the head. And this is one thing that I always tell myself, and a lot of people actually, they do ask me like, oh, so how many listeners do you have? Have the numbers grown? I give them the same answer. I don't care. I don't know. Yeah. I don't check the numbers because I know they're not going to be big. And secondly, I don't really care whether the numbers are growing or not. Yeah. The main thing for me is to do something and do it consistently. Because at the end of the day, the more times that I do it, the more times, 9 times out of 10, it will get better and it will attract more listeners. Yeah. So,
and also, if you enjoy it, then quite frankly, who cares?
Yes. No, I do love it. I love it, honestly. I mean,
that's the main thing.
When I was doing YouTube a year and a half ago or whatever, and I started off loving it, but I ended up fully hating it because I was so bogged down with numbers.
Oh, really?
And I was always comparing myself against other creators, and I was always comparing numbers. So, this person's got this amount of subscribers. They started 2 months ago. Why aren't I there? Yeah. And I'd get really bogged down, and it'd really annoy me. And I ended up and actually, it's this time, exactly a year ago, in February last year was the last video that I made. I used to love making videos. I used to spend 6-7 hours on a weekend editing it, filming it, but it became a chore and I stopped. But I'm making sure now when I'm doing podcasting, I don't get bogged down with numbers, comparisons or anything like that.
I think it's so funny you mentioned that once, if you're enjoying something, the minute it becomes a chore, then for me it's pointless. Yeah. And everyone says that a career should be a hobby you get paid for and that sort of thing. But it's so difficult to try and get that balance right, because especially when you're being self-employed. And I mean, I was not really a proper actor, so I don't really understand the ins and outs of it, but I've still got a lot of friends who are. And it is so tough for them because they're just constantly having to slog away at auditions, and they're beginning to fall out of love with it. And it's a shame that something which you can be so passionate about can get destroyed by something so ugly.
It's about balancing it all out. I mean, look, if you're enjoying, like, I know a guy who, a friend of mine who played football, and he's playing professionally at the minute.
Oh, no, before.
He used to play for QPR, but he left, and I can't remember the team that he plays for now. It's a League 2 team, but his mum lives right next to me, and I always ask, how's Brandon doing? And she's like, he's doing all right, but it's tough for him, and so I completely understand. But I just feel like the moment that you can try and balance it all out, so for example, this podcast, like, I do need to take the numbers seriously. Of course, I do need to refer to them every now and again.
Yeah, of course.
But as long as I'm looking forward to another weekend of recording, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we're here. And, made myself feel at home, got my feet up on the sofa, and
it's an exciting day.
Leaning back. So, let's get right into it.
Let's go.
The first thing we're talking about is Cadet passing away. And I just touched on it. This is something, that hit me really hard. So I woke up yesterday morning, and just on Twitter timeline, as I do, and then suddenly I see, Cadet, R.I.P. Cadet, and I was like, that's a bit odd. So I go on it, and a couple of people talking about it, how his family posted a picture on Instagram, just letting his fans know that he passed away in an accident as a passenger on his way to perform somewhere. I thought, okay. Initially, I was like, shit, like, what the fuck? And then I was like, this sounds fishy. Like, I don't really want to believe it because this is just really, really weird.
Yeah.
But then after an hour or so, a lot more people, a lot more sort of artists started to pour in sort of their messages. And I was like, shit. And it really got to me in the evening, yesterday evening, when I was at work. And I was just on Twitter again, just scrolling through. And throughout the whole day, I couldn't get this out of my head. I was with a friend yesterday and I was telling her, like, why does this affect me so much? I don't know the guy. He definitely doesn't know me. I listen to his music. And I realised that evening why it got to me so much. Because his career had been documented so well within the last year and a half that we, as listeners, people who admired his music, were a part of that journey. He started off... it all started off with a family dispute. So his cousin is called Krept. Krept and Conor are two very, very big UK artists. They're signed to Virgin Records. They're one of the earliest sort of artists who made it. Before that, you know, for an artist to be signed by a major record label was unheard of. So they'd made it, and Cadet was very jealous of his cousin. He's very envious. You know, his cousin's he signed $1 million, deal, and he's working at William Hill. And then so he recorded a song called Letter to Krept. So this addressed all the issues that he had with his cousin. You know, I was jealous, and you were making money, and you never, you know, came back to check me. And then Krept responded with Letter to Cadet.
Oh no.
So
I knew about Letter to Cadet. I didn't know that.
So Krept responded with Letter to Cadet, and he was in the initial letter. Cadet was saying how, you know, you knew about this guy who was seeing my girlfriend behind my back, but you didn't do anything about it. And Krept responded with, I had no idea that she was going out with you. And you know, it was a really touching moment because you don't see family disputes in the public eye. It's very much kept behind closed doors. So the fact that we were all witnessing this, it was like, shit, we feel as a part of this.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why. I mean, everyone remembers, I think it was 2017, 2016, where we unfortunately had so many celebrities leaving us in that 1 year.
I think last year,
everyone was so affected now by celebs passing away because everything is so documented with the boom of social media and stuff like that, particularly younger artists, because they are actually making their career through social media and through Instagram and through and through Facebook. So I think for us, particularly now, this generation of celebrity where we understand and see absolutely every part of these people's lives, when something bad does happen to them, we feel far more connected to them than necessarily celebs who weren't active during the social media boom.
It does make me feel a bit sick as well, because I never actually wanted to be that guy who's like, oh my god, I'm hooked onto so and so. It's like, it cringes me out a little bit. It's like being a fan of, like, I don't know, Kim Kardashian or something like that. But the reason why,
totally disagree.
I just want to point out that this isn't like a normal sort of death. It's very similar to when Mac Miller passed away, or when Triple X passed away, and a few other artists. I'm not sad because they passed away. I'm sad for what they've left behind. So because we were so into this, you know, we were so into this, invested in this relationship that he had with his cousin effectively put him on the map. His cousin effectively got him out of William Hill, gave him the opportunity to become a recording artist. This was supposed to be the making of his year. And what was even more sad was the problems that we heard of in the songs. Talking about, you know, a number of female problems. I mean, I only listened to Closure yesterday, and Closure is one of his big songs. And when I heard it, I was like, shit, he got with someone who then became pregnant, who then faked their own
miscarriage. Yeah, I was listening to it today. It was the song itself, and you said that I was shopping at the time, and I had to stop because I was like, I can't concentrate on what I'm trying to get when I'm hearing such an incredible story and such a heartfelt story. And I mean, you and I were chatting about this before you came up, and I hate using the phrase storyteller because I think it's so overused, and you get people in my job who say they're a storyteller. You're not a storyteller, you're an art director, get over yourself. He was a storyteller.
Yes.
He just did it to music. and I think that's very different, and particularly now with sort of the influx of mumble rap, which
oh god,
just makes me so angry. Where and they're not singing about anything, and they're just saying the N word over and over and over again, and talking about bitches, and in the club, and they all just like, and they've these facial tattoos, and they've got like a kid's notepad. I just hate it. And then you've got
smashed it, and
it really bugs me that these guys are killing it, making loads of money, and are super famous and whatnot. And then you've got someone who is so genuinely talented, and I think it's a nice point that you made, that you're sad for what they left behind. But I also think with a death like his, when he was young and things
28 years old,
things were just starting out for him, we're also mourning what he could have been. We're mourning the fact that we didn't get to see
the best of him.
The best of him, exactly, of what he could do. I mean, like imagine like the biggest names in music history, if they'd passed away when he did, and like what we wouldn't have had. And I think that's what creates so much sadness around any artist's death, particularly one who was so young.
That's the most shocking bit is because he was so young. He's 28 years old. It was so uncalled for him, and nobody would have expected it. He had one of the biggest chart-topping songs last year, with a 16-year-old boy. So he appeared in. I mean, you're talking about storytelling, but you need to listen to Rap Man. Rap Man is the best rapper in the UK. He doesn't just tell stories, he tells genuine stories about things that really do happen in society that have been neglected, or that has pushed into a corner. So, you know, it's really sad to see that happen. And I felt really, really bad for Krept, his cousin.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because, like I said, everything's been well documented. And you always see a video of them two together clowning around.
Yeah.
And
they're mates. They're just doing their thing,
Really, really close. I mean, like this. Yeah. And you saw the moment where they became from this to this. So where they were sending letters to each other, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, like, you know, they're like brothers almost. And I just feel really sad for Krept, because he was in Dubai, and he was on holiday with his girlfriend, and then he found the news out that his cousin had passed away, and you can only imagine what he was going through. And I said this a couple of weeks ago when I was recording, when the tragedy happened with the Leicester City owner, where effectively him signing his contract to buy the club was his death warrant. And it's so sad in this case as well, where this young man who could have been on the streets, who could have been selling drugs, as he says in his raps, could have been selling drugs, could have been, you know, gangbanging or whatnot, but he got himself out of that to pursue music, to make his life, you know, to improve his life. And it's so sad how him making that decision effectively did get him killed. His decision to create and not destroy. And I think that's a decision that so few people get to make. A lot of people are forced into just either having to do something they don't want to do, or not being able to, or also just a lot of people don't do it just out of sheer fear. They're worried about failure, or this, that, and the other. So when you've got that unique combination of sort of, it's almost three things, that combination of, one, someone who's talented enough to do it, two, that they were able to do it, and three, that they had the balls to do it. And it's such a rare combination to get all three. And then actually the fourth is luck. But they then get picked, because you can be the most talented person in the world, and unfortunately in that sort of sphere, if you're not lucky enough to get picked up, that's it. So true. And it's a waste again. So really, really sad. And again, you know, it still hasn't hit me really that he's gone. But it is what it is. So best of luck to the family, you know, condolences, and really, really hope that new music does come out from him, because I'm sure, you know, artists, when they leave, they have a list of songs that they leave behind. So that's something to look forward to. Now, moving on very swiftly. 21 Savage arrested over immigration issues. I could not understand why Twitter was going berserk. I mean, I've never seen this large amount of tweets towards one person. There was like 2 million tweets dedicated to 21 Savage. I was like, what? Yeah. What's going on? And you know something's big when memes get made. Yes. And there were so many 21 Savage memes, and I was enjoying them. And I didn't know about it. I started seeing the memes, and I was like, right, I like this.
I like where this is going. I've got to read up on it before anything else goes on. Like I tend to get most of my news through meme culture. I don't think I get it. Like I don't go on BBC. I might pick up a Metro if it's in my way on the tube, but it's basically memes. They just flow up on Instagram or whatever, and I learn everything through that. But this one, it went absolutely mental. For him. And again, I'm not really sure why. And I get that it's awful that it's happening to him. And that he has also done so much for so many different communities. And I get that it's a shame and that he's lived through so much and that, you know, if he wants to say he should. But then I hope that his struggle lends a voice to those who don't have one in the States. And particularly because, the immigration laws out there now.
I don't know what the fuck is going on over there.
Particularly in certain states. And it is terrifying. It is terrifying, and I think it's a very dangerous thing. So I hope that part of the reason people are rallying behind it is because there is now something to rally behind. Yeah,
it is a very, very unfortunate scenario, like situation for 21 Savage. I had no idea he was British, and a lot of British people it's so funny because they're all celebrating. They're like, "Oh my god, he's British! Like this is amazing!" I'm just like, "Oh, come on, get over it." This is someone's life. Like. You know, being turned upside down. He's got 2 kids. And he came to the US when he was 9. I mean, they say 9, but they say he came to live in the US when he was 12.
Yeah, I've seen loads of different numbers of that as well. I've seen some where they say 8, and I've seen some where it was 14. And I'm like, I think if America doesn't know... I think that says a lot.
Pretty much.
That's it. If they have no idea when he showed up.
It's so fucked up over there, though, the immigration system, because he's basically he's applied for something called like a U visa. So, and I was reading yesterday an article where they were saying how America can only put through, they can only transact 10,000 of those applications, and there's currently 190,000 people on the waiting list, and he put that application through like years ago. There's such a big problem. I mean, I don't understand, and this is the fishy thing about this whole situation. He was performing at where was he? Jimmy.
Oh, I've forgotten
the name of the Jimmy Kimmel's show. He was performing one of his songs on his album, and you know he only recently released his album, which charted #1, and so one of his songs, he was criticizing the ICE over immigration problems. And isn't it interesting how the moment he starts criticizing the American government, they then crunch down on him. So I think a couple of days later, they got him, the ICE arrested him because he had overstayed, and they got him on, you know, violating drug laws or something like that.
But that's often the way. As soon as you put your head above the parapet as well, and people start to see, then it basically just puts a massive target on your back. And I think it happened with him. It's happened with loads of other artists where they start to, you know, question things or speak out about things they shouldn't necessarily do. And I mean, I don't want to say that it's all a big conspiracy theory because I don't believe in that, and I don't want to be the guy who wears a tinfoil hat thinking about aliens. But in this instance,
it's fishy.
That's pretty irrefutable, isn't it?
What are we seeing in America now? What's going on? Because I feel like they are going through a transitional phase where it is, if you're not American, you're not welcome, and if you're not a stereotypical American, then you are an outsider, and you'll be pushed into a corner.
But what is American?
What
is America?
That's a great question.
It is a country pretty much now founded on immigration. They like the
irony.
Yeah, the native Indians. I think, and I'm really sorry if that's the inappropriate way to refer to them as. That's just ignorance on my part. Yeah. But there's so few of them left, and there's such a big problem with their culture because they don't feel like they belong anymore, and they've been prosecuted for so many years, and now these communities of people who actually, it's their country.
Yeah, it is their country. Yeah, it's well documented. So it's well known fact.
It's not the bunch of Brits who came over and gave everyone syphilis. That's not what. It's not their country. It's not like, unfortunately, and yet now people are getting so agitated by this sort of new wave of immigration. And admittedly, I get it that you can't just have a completely open border policy.
Yeah, of course not.
I get that, and I agree with that in the UK as well.
Yes,
but like this sort of trumps just strict line in the sand of basically, if you're not white and
Yeah.
you haven't been here for years and years and years, get out. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
making this list of countries that aren't allowed to get into the US at all because of various terrorism attacks and this, that, and the other. And then you look at the people who did the terrorist attacks and the leaders of Al Qaeda and the leaders of ISIS, and they're not from any of the countries he's banned.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you're just
It's so frustrating,
moronic.
isn't it?
Like, I don't get him. I think he's got like an idea of what he wants to do, but because it's Trump and everything needs to be the biggest, the baddest, the biggest gold thing in the world. Everything he does is 100%, and then when he turns his hand to immigration, instead of going, okay, right, we need to just tighten everything up a little bit, he's gone, no one.
He's very direct,
no one
isn't he?
And that just doesn't work.
In some respects, I understand. I don't want to say I understand. I can see where he's coming from when he, because I'm very good at reading people, and I'm very good at analyzing what someone's about. So, you know, when Trump says certain things, I get where he's coming from. I understand his issues, his problems, and he's got, you know, in some circumstances he does have a case when he says, for example, the immigration system. Immigration system is flawed. Too many people are coming in, and, you know, bringing in drugs and crimes and whatnot. Yes, that very well may be true, but the way that you're portraying yourself and the policy of your country, because the moment you become the president of the country, you're representing everyone behind you. Yeah. So the moment that you say something, he lacks in every sense of presidentiality. If that makes sense.
It's a new word. It's coined today.
He lacks that.
We're in. Yeah, he does. He does, and he lacks. Like, I mean, like, everyone now is in this sort of state where we all just miss Obama so much. But he was so charismatic.
Yes, presidential.
Yeah, presidential. That's one. He was so charismatic and charming, and everything he said was brilliant. And you know, Trump made some mistakes. Obama made some mistakes
of course,
as well.
Yeah.
And I think actually any president is going to make mistakes because it is impossible to please everyone. You cannot create a utopia. Yeah. But the way in which Trump goes about so much stuff, and it almost seems that he makes these decisions with such a snap thought, and he doesn't then do any research behind it. So, for example, this wall. Yeah. This wall. Oh my God. Such a small percentage of Mexicans going into America do it on land. Such a small percentage. Most of them go in via the air, and loads go in via water. So it's just like he's made this thing of, I'm going to build a wall. All right.
He's trying to prove a point.
All right, they're going to get in.
Yeah.
And he's there going, oh, and like you said, the crime and the drugs. And, yeah, but also, mate, Americans are doing it too. Yes. It's not as if every single American is great. And also, a lot of immigrants who are coming in are probably going to be better than some of your Americans. It's just that they're going to contribute. Yeah. They're going to get jobs. They're going to be fantastic, upstanding members of society.
Absolutely.
Like,
and I think what's more scary is that we're seeing this emergence of right-wingism or extreme right-wingism coming here. There's a significant growth, and there's a lot of people who have now gained the confidence to say things that maybe 10 years ago you wouldn't be able to say with such confidence. Yeah. And that's scary, and it's happening all over Europe. So, you know, what are we actually seeing here, and what is actually going to surface in the next couple of years?
It's terrifying.
I feel nervous myself.
Yeah. I completely agree. Have you seen the Vice documentary Hate Thy Neighbour?
No.
It's brilliant. It's this comedian, and I might get his name wrong, and I apologise. I think he's called Jamali Maddox, and he's mixed raced, and he has this big beard, and he looks like a Muslim to someone who would be ignorant. He isn't. Yeah. And he basically goes around and he interviews racists in America, in Latvia, in the UK, and it is terrifying that people still think that way. That these people still have such a closed-minded view on the world, and the fact that they have kids. Yeah. And they're bringing kids up with this. Yeah. And I'm there going, if a child is surrounded by hate their entire childhood,
that's it. Then that's all they'll know.
As someone else, yeah, exactly. That's what they'll know, and it's and like no child is born racist. You know, like it just doesn't work. It's an inherited behavior or a learned behavior, and it's the whole thing's just terrifying. And I am so worried about with the powder keg that's going on. With you've got Trump who in my opinion, should just get castrated. He's so aggressive and just bolshy and throwing his weight around.
Yeah.
And then he's doing it to someone else right the other side of the world who is mentally unstable, doing the exact same thing. And it's just these two kids, basically the two fat kids in the playground about to have a fight.
Basically.
And everyone's looking at them going, the fat kids are going to fight. But no one's going, if they do, all of us die. It's not like it's terrifying. And like people aren't reacting to it. I don't know why everyone's not constantly scared.
I'm moving houses very soon.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm moving away from where I live now in North London, quite central zone 2.
Oh, nice.
So
mate. Where are you going?
I've lived there pretty much my whole life, and I'm moving across to East London in Romford.
Nice.
So that is way out. It's like zone 6. I am terrified to meet whoever is on the other side. Because I know in my community, we're very, very... what's the word? Help me out.
I don't know what you're trying to say. I'm sorry.
This happens every podcast. I always forget what word I need to say.
Random words.
We're very inclusive and we're very accepting of multicultural. That's the word. We're a very multicultural society, and there's all walks of life, different people. But the moment you walk out of zone 4, I think, everything seems to become a bit weird. So I've been over to Romford a couple of times to see the new house. And,
I'm sure. Yeah. Do you have mates out there as well? Is that why you're going?
Say that again.
Do you have mates out there as well? Is that one of the reasons you're going?
It's actually me and my family that are moving over.
Oh,
so
amazing.
we're all moving over because where we live now is very cramped. So we're living in a very, very small place at the minute, and we just need more space.
Yeah.
And house prices over there just look more cheaper. So moving over there, and the first thing I realised when we got onto our road, there's a house across our house with a Union Jack outside of his window. Now, normally, that'd be fine, I don't care. But
if it was the World Cup, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
In the last few years, I feel like because of the sort of the climate that we're living in now, because of everything that's happened in the last 5 years, that Union Jack means so much, like it's got a completely different meaning now to what it would do 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So in some senses, like I'm terrified, and I always feel myself being judged or being looked upon in a certain different way. Absolutely.
Even in Romford as well.
So say that again.
Even in Romford.
Even in Romford, even on the tube. I mean, I drive now, but before, like 6 months ago, when I was with you guys, I would feel the same thing, and it's so unfortunate that we have to check ourselves in that sort of way.
Yeah.
Like I always feel very I always feel like I need to be someone different when I'm, depending on what type of people I'm with, I need to sort of fit in.
And do you think that that's a cultural thing, or is part of it because of you as a person, that you like to get on with people and you like to sort of emulate yourself in that?
I mean, I definitely want to avoid any confrontation or any awkwardness at all costs. I hate that. I hate being in that scenario. But I also feel like I need to be culturally aware of where I am, and I need to fit in. Otherwise, people are going to judge me because I look different and I come from a different background. It's
a shame you think that.
It is. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. And it's because of sort of the societal norms and values that not everyone, but this it's because of that extreme side. I'm so afraid of that extreme side, and I've been exposed to it so much so I think anywhere that I go, I'm going to be stepping into that sort of zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I think it's an interesting point, and I think it goes both ways in that sort of particularly in the States and over here, people are worried because of the actions of a very small group of people, and they may have been directly affected, and therefore they judge a certain way. But I also think it goes both ways in that sort of you might feel awkward in certain areas because of things that you've seen, but actually the majority of people just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's the ignorant people that shout the loudest that cause the most fear, and it's a problem that because they shout the loudest, that they have a platform, and that people think that they're a representation of everyone like them, and it's on every single side, and it's awful. And the fact that they then have a platform to do it on is actually the societal change that we need to make, because the majority of people don't care where you're from. They don't care. I mean, I've always been in the mindset of if you are kind to me, I am kind to you.
Yes.
That's just always been my thing. And I think probably 95% of people think that way. I
Yeah.
hope. I'm
Yeah,
an
yeah,
optimist. I hope that 95% of people think that way. So actually, instead of trying to sort of work on it in terms of what am I trying to say? I think the societal change, the 5% of people who are ignorant
Yeah.
and are biased are always going to be there. You're never going to get rid of them. And I think trying to get rid of them is futile. But what we need to do is silence them.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that, or we need to educate everyone else to understand that what they're saying is ridiculous, because you can't silence them. That's not right. You know, we have freedom of speech, but we need to educate everyone else to understand that what they're saying is just garbage. It's rubbish.
Yeah. I used to really love going to Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park on Sundays. I used to love it. It used to be a great buzz, you know, getting involved in different disputes and people talking about different topics, and it used to really stimulate my brain. But I think in the last month or couple of months, I've just stopped going because it's just the amount of stupidness that you see there with like, so many right-wing members just coming in and just, you know, stirring up so much trouble, and it's just like...
Anyway, it's just an opportunity to get angry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
People are angry at the world, and you can be angry at the world. I've been angry at the world before, and quite frankly, I've had no reason to be angry at the world.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a pretty damn good life, but people are, and I can imagine for people who aren't nearly as privileged and as lucky as I am, of course they're angry. I'd be angry, but unfortunately, it's learning to deal with that. Yeah. Instead of lashing out at the nearest person you can.
Word, very good. Right, we'll move on from 21 Savage.
Yeah.
It's quite funny we didn't actually speak about 21
Not
Savage.
much.
But it was good.
But no, but I think it was... I
spoke about the important issues attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. And he was the platform of which to talk about something very important.
Very important indeed. Now, moving on, we got the very, you know, sad news of the passing of Emiliano Sala.
Yeah.
That was really, really sad. I mean, I was, up until the moment they found his body, I was genuinely very hopeful that he was still alive.
I think we all were. Not just because of who he was, but just because it was a human being.
Yes.
We were all just going, you know, and everyone loves a happy ending.
Everyone loves a happy end. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, this is like a very sort of unfortunate scenario where you see someone trying to improve their life and they've got an opportunity, and he's 28 years old. He's at the very peak of his career.
Yeah.
You know, throughout his whole life, his whole career, he's struggled to make it into an elite division, into an elite sort of position. And he's gone from, you know, a lower end of a French club into the Premier League.
Yeah. The
place where every player wants to play. It's a place made of dreams, you know, where Leicester City win the Premier League. This is the type of dream we're talking about. And for him to, you know, attempt to go from one end of the border to another and then not make it.
It mirrors Cadet in so many ways. It's two people who wanted and were beginning to make their lives so much better, and they were taken too soon from us.
Way too
because of unforeseen and circumstances that were completely unavoidable. And it's terrible.
Awful scenario though. He was put on a plane that was clearly not designed to be flown in that weather condition.
All of those texts as well from him to his family saying that he was scared, and obviously, you know, we don't want to dredge up anything terrible for his family or anything, but it's awful to know that he was scared. Yeah. And that he was worried about things and worried about the way worried about the plane which eventually took his life. It almost makes the whole thing so much sadder.
So the pilot that was flying the plane, David Ibbotson, he was the secondary pilot. Yeah. So he wasn't supposed to fly the plane. The pilot who was supposed to fly the plane was David Henderson, who's got years of experience, but he was unable to fly the plane for whatever reason. So David Ibbotson then took his place. He was a private licensed owner, so he didn't have the experience that David Henderson did. Yeah. But he was still alive. He was still allowed to fly that plane, and sources say that it took him 3 attempts to get the plane off the runway into the sky. Who's liable for this? Because someone clearly is. And what makes this even worse is that Nantes, which is the club where Salah transferred from, are now demanding the 15 mil from Cardiff.
Yeah. Now, I have sort of two opinions on that. I think one, we have to be very careful about the pilot because that is still a tragedy.
Yes.
And it's awful. And
yes.
we need to remember him in that way as well.
Now,
the thing with the 15 mil, it is a business.
Yeah.
It is a business. And unfortunately, players are treated like cattle or a commodity. Mm-hmm. So they shouldn't have asked for the 15 mil.
Way too soon.
Now.
Too soon.
I get it. It is still a deal. And what happened is a tragedy, but it is a business. And you can't just go, okay, well, we don't want, that's fine. You keep your money. But give it a year, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
At least find the body. Because this was before they found the body.
No.
Yeah, they were asking for the money before the body was found.
It's outrageous. I just don't know. What worries me is how many people that decision had to go through before that email or that letter was sent.
Yes.
And that none of them turned around and said, no, there is no way that email is getting sent out. And we need to basically let the media storm completely die down.
Yeah.
Let people mourn. It's not fair for the family because they're going to see that headline and go, you are treating our loved one as a commodity.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're treating him like a car. And it's so sad. So you need to let everything die down. And then, yes, you have to, and unfortunately you have to ask, but not. Before, I didn't even know it was before the body had been found.
So I was reading the article, and actually, when I first heard that Nantes were asking for the money, I thought, wow, what a bunch of cocks.
Yeah.
But then Cardiff City, their response was, they were happy to honour the contract, but they wanted to wait for the full investigation to be concluded. I thought, that's so very moral of them.
Yeah.
But then I continued to read, and the article went on to say Cardiff wanted to wait so that they could see and they could find out the full ownership of the aircraft. So
why? Did it say what?
Because I reckon, and I think, in terms of paying the 15 mil, if the liability is on the other party, so if the plane, for instance, whoever booked the plane or whoever it belonged to, if it was Nantes's, then they would be liable for sort of the death. But I just find this ridiculous move, so I don't know. It's so snaky. On one hand, you've got one party asking for the money. On the other hand, you see a party saying, "No, wait, we'll pay you, but just wait for the investigation to be completed." But you can sort of see why they're waiting because they want to see who's liable. So I just feel like there's two parties here playing games against each other over 15 mil, completely forgetting the fact that you've got two men missing. Yeah. One guy's career completely just tarnished, his life gone. Another keen flyer who had a family, had two children, completely gone. And you got two groups squabbling over
money. People have died. And I mean, I know nothing about law, so I don't know whether it's something that if you leave it too long, you are then unable to make that claim. It might be something to do with that. So I don't want to start bad-mouthing people if actually they are just trying to do their job. But if there's not, I can't imagine there's something in place going, you have to make these claims within 6 months or whatever happens. I mean, there may well be. Insurance brokers can be pretty tough at times. But, just give it a week.
Yeah, at least.
Come on.
Yeah. So we know that he's passed away and, really, really sad.
It's terrible.
But they haven't found a pilot yet, so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know whether they'll find... I don't think they'll find a pilot because he wasn't found in the plane, so he's probably...
And I imagine if he's been gone for that long, he unfortunately is presumed dead, unfortunately.
So many sad news. So, I mean, we've got another... It's not really sad piece of news. Massive controversy, actually. Liam Neeson, great actor. Absolutely horrendous decision.
Just made me so sad.
I don't understand what was going through his head. I mean, look, I get it. You're trying to give an anecdotal experience to promote a film, but also to show people that your ignorance was the cause of, racial thoughts. Yeah. I totally get what he was trying to do, but what frustrated me is the angle he was coming from and the way he delivered it.
Yeah, the whole thing in my mind was moronic, and again, I think that this sort of age of celebrity where anything you say is recorded.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's like Kevin Hart not hosting
the
Oscars anymore, and I mean, we can get onto that in a minute because actually I think that's outrageous. But the whole Liam Neeson thing, he was an ignorant fool for thinking those thoughts in the first place, and for getting a bat and for going out. And I understand that you are hurting more than anyone else. I get that, and I understand I don't understand, unfortunately, the tragedy that he and his friend went through. But to have those thoughts, one, is bad. To then drudge that back up for the sake of selling a movie, which is essentially what was going on, he was trying to promote a film, is unforgivable. Yeah. But then, and this might be slightly controversial, there's this big thing now where if a celeb does something or says something, they completely pull the plug on the film. And it happened with Kevin Spacey, and admittedly he should have been pulled from House of Cards. But I think what should happen is they shouldn't just not release the film. They should release the film, but just not hire him again. And I get that people don't want to be associated with someone who has said some awful things. I get that. But for that film, there's probably 1,000 people who worked on that film. It could have been a load of actors' big break. It could have been a load of people who work behind the scenes big break. A lot of them created something that they wanted to show the world, and they're not going to get to do that because of the ignorant and stupid thoughts of one man. So true. So I think don't hire him again. But I think you should release the film.
They said that they've stopped? They're not going to release the film.
Yeah, well, that's the rumor.
They've stopped the. I know they've stopped the film premiere. Yeah, which I thought is a bit like.
Again, I get that because you want to allow him to basically make the statement afterwards of going, I'm an idiot, I apologise to everyone, I apologise to the black community, I apologise to this, that and the other. I get that. But the rumours I saw when I was doing my homework was that they are thinking of just not releasing the film. Which again, when it's like All the Money in the World, that film about Paul Getty, I think his name was, which Kevin Spacey was meant to be in. And I think they did it right because they didn't want to release the film with Kevin Spacey in it because he was a monster. Completely understand. So what they did is they refilmed the entirety of it. They were right at the end of filming, and they just redid all of it with a different actor. All the scenes with him in, and that's how you do it. So they released the film. Everyone else gets to still see the film. Everyone in the film gets to make their art, and Kevin Spacey gets shafted. Great news. Applause all round. So
I'm going to approach this from a different angle, and I'm going to be a little bit controversial here.
Love it.
And I'm going to say that I think everyone has blown this out of proportion, and we have a lot of hypersensitivity going on in the background because I get really frustrated when something like this happens and everyone is so quick to point the finger. So Liam Neeson has gone on live television and he has given this experience. He's spoken about, I mean, he worded it completely wrong. He couldn't have worded it any worse. Absolutely made himself look like an absolute dick. But anyone with a sound mind can see where he's coming from. I was watching an interview that John Barnes was given for the BBC. And John Barnes was basically saying how Liam Neeson deserves a medal. And he deserves a medal because he was exposing himself back then, 40 years ago, a gentleman who had done what he had done. And 40 years later, realizing that he had been such an idiot for what he had done because he was so ignorant to what society and, you know what I mean? He was so ignorant to that community. His actions were so like blown out of proportion. And he realizes now that ignorant mindset can get you to do something so drastic.
And do something incredibly dangerous. And it can cause something incredibly dangerous. And again, I get it, because when you're hurting, you do want to lash out. And, well, I mean, I went through the same thing when I found out my girlfriend had been sleeping with this guy from work. I ran past him. A couple of days after I found out, I ran past him in the park, and I nearly turned around.
Oh my God.
And suddenly you sat there going, hang on, this isn't good. This is a very unhealthy mindset. But I'm looking for an individual. I'm not going, right, I'm just going to beat up every drummer I see. That's not how it works. And unfortunately, that's why I think what Liam Neeson said is unforgivable, because he just wanted to lash out at a community. That's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to find the person.
Yeah.
He wanted to hurt the community.
Yeah.
And that, for me, and I get that it's now big that he's said how ignorant he was, and I think it's great personal development for him, but it's just such a shame that it was attached to a film. Because then it becomes a media storm. And now, actually, Liam Neeson hasn't done a good film in ages.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, first Taken was great. Second Taken was just Liam Neeson as an angry GPS thing. Like, just screaming at a daughter to turn left and turn right. Taken 3, no one cares about. He hasn't done a good film in years, so no one really cares that. And no one's going to see his most recent film. But now, people are going to be watching it because of this controversy.
Yeah, because of the comment that he's
I'm
made.
going to be really unprofessional and move just because I've noticed my table's about to fall over.
Oh, shit. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right, mate. I need to glue that. There we go. Yeah,
Cool.
Sorry about that.
No,
everyone.
no.
My incredibly 80s flat.
No.
This
This is in no way supposed to be
apart.
professional. So, yeah, Liam Neeson, great actor, stupid move to make.
Yeah.
He's being absolutely slated.
Yeah.
So the question is he a racist or is he just another victim to an ignorant racial stereotype?
I don't think he's a racist.
No.
I think he was angry and hurting. I think that he is ignorant. What was. I think it might be safe to say that he was a racist for that very particular point of his life where that's irrefutable. If you were looking to just hurt a random person because of the colour of their skin, no matter what the reasons are behind it, you're a racist. Unfortunately, there's no two ways around it. So I think he was, for the period of time where he was hurting and when he was walking around with a bat trying to find someone to beat up, racist. I don't think he is anymore. Well, I hope he isn't.
No,
anymore.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm going to say something again really controversial, and I think I don't think we should be giving him as much stick as he deserves because 40 years ago, Northern Ireland, when there was a civil war going on, and society itself very much centralized on white individuals, white human beings. Very unheard of to see black people in Northern Ireland. And we know in Northern Ireland there's a very strong Christian culture. And again, that goes back all the way to America, where Christian culture being very strong was linked to slavery. The history of the Irish going over to America. So I think this is a very unfortunate situation of an individual who was trapped in a set of societal norms and values that were prominent at the time, and he found it very difficult to escape that sort of mindset until it happened to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. But it's like what we were saying, where no one's born a racist. And I mean, again, we can't forgive anyone, and I think that particularly with the older generation, there is this mentality of, oh well, I was brought up in a different time. And to me, my thought is, well, times have changed.
Yes, times have changed,
No, I'm sorry, you can't hide behind the fact that you might be a male chauvinistic pig at work because you're 60. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
And what terrifies me is that I'm going to be that guy when I'm 60, because right now I think, you know what, I'm great. I understand it. I classify myself as a feminist. I don't care where you're from. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. And it terrifies me that new stuff's going to come out, and my views are going to be
nullified.
And I'm going to have to, and I will learn to understand the new wave of people coming in, and how society's changing. I think that's the difference. Is if I'm willing to learn, then I think I'm going to be all right.
That's such an interesting thing that you raised there. 60 years time, what are we going to be like, and are we going to be susceptible to the same things that's happening right now? Are we seeing, in this particular case, white privilege here being demonstrated at its finest with Liam Neeson? Because this film, whether it's going to come out or not, isn't the question. The question is he going to go on and continue to make films and still be able to bounce off this? And I think, he's going to be fine. I don't think in this instance it's white privilege. I think it's celebrity privilege. Okay.
I think it's a big difference.
Yeah.
So you look at Dr. Dre.
Yes.
He, in 1993, he beat up a female reporter.
He
hit her. He shoved her up against the wall. And I mean, he is so apologetic for it now. He even states the fact that it is the worst thing he's ever done, and he was an idiot. but he was also the first billionaire in hip hop. Like, I don't think it's a white privilege thing. I think it's a celebrity privilege.
Yep.
And celebs get away
with anything.
Everything they want to, anything they want to. And I mean, a topic we've got coming up, we'll have a chat about it later, with the whole R. Kelly thing.
That's what we're going to go on to.
Oh, is that? Oh, it's a great segue for that. I mean, he is just a monster,
fucking cock,
a bona fide monster.
Yeah,
and yet he's going to go on tour.
That's unbelievable. When I saw this, I thought, what?
Who is sponsoring that?
I found it so bizarre when I saw that. I was thinking there were so many questions going through my mind.
Yeah,
he's announced tour dates to Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka, but then the tweet was later deleted. So he's tweeted it, but it was deleted. Having said that, he has got tour dates coming up in the next 2 weeks in Germany. So he will be going over to Germany. And everything is a bit weird because, you know, there's so many angles of this that I want to try and tackle. And the first one is, the things that he was doing were very well documented and it was known. His management team knew what was going on. He was bringing over girls, underage girls, into his recording studio, recording songs, and then going off. And he had a private room where he would only be him and the female allowed, and they'd do whatever they, whatever they did.
Whatever sort of depraved action he wanted,
And his management team were completely fine with it. They kept it under the carpet. And now that it's come out, all of a sudden, everyone's going, hold on a minute. What the fuck are we actually witnessing?
How did it happen? Well, it's the same thing as Savile. Like, I mean, that guy's twisted career spanned decades. Yeah. Decades and decades of abuse. And, I mean, something good came out of it. Project U-Tree came out of it, and it's fantastic. And I think, but it's the same thing over there. And again, it's this culture of celebrity and the fear of celebrity. And I mean, he even married an underage girl. This man,
Aaliyah, yeah.
He married an underage woman.
I can't believe that.
Like, what? How was that a thing? I don't like. I can't. I don't have the processing power to compute how that's happened. Yeah. And then for everyone to be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's cool. It's just R. Kelly doing his thing. Oh, yeah, it's just R. Kelly's married to her, but he's going to piss on her, and then he's going to do this, then he's going to make Trapped in the Closet, which is arguably the biggest meme of all time. And I think what got me into meme culture, I think, was Trapped in the Closet. Is just one of the most woeful pieces of music, any audio visual type of entertainment ever. And that I think Trapped in the Closet is now his one redeeming feature. It's so bad. It's so bad. But he is, and the fact that now, I mean, we don't know if he's going to go on tour. It might be, it might just be him being cocky and arrogant and that sort of thing.
But that's the thing. That's another question that comes to mind. And there's so many questions. But the other question is, at what point do you sit there and say, I can still go on. I can bounce off of this. This is fine. A documentary about me being a pedo, sleeping with underage girls, pissing on them. I can get away with it.
I can weather this storm. It's fine.
At what point?
I'll just sing "I Believe I Can Fly" and people will get over it. It'll be fine.
What scares me more is the fact that we are allowing this. I mean, the wider society is inevitably just saying, right, this guy's done X, Y, and Z. He has never been arrested. Well, he's been arrested, but he has never been found guilty of anything. Yeah. In however many years that he's been getting away with it. Yeah. So you know what? Let's just leave it, because I mean, we're at a stage now where basically no one can do anything about it. Yeah. And he's sitting there saying, it's fine. Let me go on tour, make a little bit more money. At the same time, he has got a crib where he keeps he's got a dark room, supposedly a dark room where he keeps sex slaves. I just don't know what kind of world I always say this, but am I the only sane person? Like, am I the only guy thinking about this logically and like processing these things as it is?
Yeah. But how are people, so if his tour happens, there's going to be thousands of people involved. Yeah. Getting that thing done. It is such a big deal to go on tour. And all of them are going to be okay with it? Or is it the fact that the upper echelons of the senior management are going to be going, okay, he's a stain. He's a human stain, but he's going to make me £1 million. And then the people lower down are just going, yeah, he's a stain. He's an awful human being, but I need to feed my family. But then what worries me is that the people who are going to go. So I can forgive the people who are going to make the tour happen, almost, because I get, actually, you've just got families. And the fact that R. Kelly did that, unfortunately, doesn't feed your kids. It doesn't. But the people who are going to go to his show, how can you enjoy his music?
My God.
How can you enjoy it knowing that's what he's done? I don't get it. I don't understand how you could actually find enjoyment from it, because surely you'd just be sat there the whole time going, you pissed on someone. You pissed on an underage girl. How go?
I mean, when you say that, I almost react to it like, okay, are we as a society, have we now got to a stage where we have become so desensitized to these kind of things, where it's just like, right, fine. I mean, it's the same thing. I was speaking to someone, I think a couple of weeks ago, about the shootings in America. And whenever you hear about a shooting in a school, you're just like, there's another shooting.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers, yeah. It's, I just feel so scared, because now we're letting this guy get away with it, pissing on a young girl, sexual intercourse with numerous young girls, getting married to a young girl.
Yeah. What's
the next stage? Paedophilia being okay?
Yeah. Like, but only if they're a celeb.
Only if they're a celeb.
Only if they're a celeb. Yeah. So have you seen the Dave Chappelle Netflix special? The one called Grammy Award. Right. I never thought I liked Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And me and my mate sat down to watch it, and it was one of the best pieces of stand-up comedy I have ever seen.
Really?
It was so intelligent, and he does a bit in it. Honestly, like, I don't know if we're endorsing him, but watch it, everyone. It is so good. The Grammy winner one, he's called it. But he does a bit in it about the fact that when he grew up, they were bred to care, because there were so few things that went on that were really bad, that they had the time to mourn each thing. So like when the lunar rocket blew up and stuff, they all watched it at school, and it was awful. They all went home for the day, they all sat, they all thought about it, and when wars happened, they all sat, they all thought about it. Nowadays we don't have the time to mourn anything, so it's okay, there's been a school shooting, that's awful. Okay, I've got 3 hours to think about this before another bomb goes off somewhere. So actually we just don't have the time to process any of the bad stuff, so we just kind of don't think about it, and I think that's a very sad direction we're going in, and I think that's one of the multiple downsides of this sort of, they're calling us the age of communication, is what they're calling us, which I quite like, and I like the fact that I've got mates in Australia, and I can text them, and if it's the right time of day, I can hear back from them immediately, and I can get a picture of their kids straight away. I love it. I think it's so good, and it's bringing us together at a time when we're trying to be so divided by the ignorant people we spoke about. But the downside is, because we have essentially the entirety of the world's knowledge at our fingertips at any point in time, nothing really matters.
Nothing matters.
And it's a very odd sort of dynamic shift we're going into.
Talking about division, we'll move on to Gucci and their decision to release a blackface sweater. My problem isn't really with the fact that it's blackface. My problem is it being $890. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind? First of all, if you're offended, just ignore it. I don't know who in their right mind goes out to buy a $890 sweater that is half balaclava and half sweater.
Yeah, there is no way that I'm spending that amount of money on an item of clothing unless it's made out of Margot Robbie.
Yes.
Then I spend $900 on it. Apart from that, or it like comes with a free genie. There is no way that I am spending that amount of money, especially one that essentially brands me as an ignorant.
I mean,
it's that whole thing of how many people had to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Like, for me to make a change at work, I've got like 3 people who've got to sign off on it before it goes out the door.
Yeah.
And yet in Gucci there must be so many. So either Gucci has a really poor representation of black people in their workforce, or they're just so terrified of people sort of further up the food chain that they don't ever turn around and go, that's racist.
Well, I mean, they did say they did release a statement saying, we consider diversity to be a fundamental value to be fully upheld, respected, and at the forefront of every decision we make. We are fully committed to increasing diversity throughout our organization. So I think they realize that, they do lack in representation, and that this specific piece was just a stupid business decision. Despite it being, I mean, you'll be surprised to know, I didn't know, but despite being multicolored, they decided to put this specific out with a black face and red lips.
Yeah. It's just...
It's a really bad marketing
The mind
move.
boggles. But again, is it to just promote the brand? Because,
Yeah.
I probably haven't mentioned the word Gucci, in months, just because also I can't afford the damn thing. But
Yes.
we're speaking about it now.
Yeah, we are speaking about
We're
it
chatting
now,
about
actually.
Gucci now. It's working. But again, unfortunately, we're talking about the fact that they're stupid.
The negative side of it.
But I mean, I can safely say that I will boycott Gucci for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Just because I can't afford their clothes.
Yeah.
So I can safely say now I will never buy Gucci.
I mean, I saw it from both perspectives. So when I first heard about this, I did get a bit annoyed, and it's the same thing with the Liam Neeson situation where it being blown out of proportion. Because if we had seen a sweater being made, it being white and having red lipstick and a lovely white model wearing it, there'd be no issues.
No, there wouldn't.
We would all be happy.
But
Everything
that's
would
because
all be
whiteface
cushy.
isn't a problem.
And now, because it's, I mean, really, what I would have loved is for, I hate the next few words I'm going to say. I hate it, but I'm going to say it. The black community.
Yeah.
I would have loved the black community to say, you know what? Gucci have made something that represents us. Amazing.
Okay.
Brilliant. Do you know where I'm coming from? Because if it had been made a white sweater with red lips, people would be going crazy about it.
Yeah. I think because there are so many negative associations with blackface, which is essentially what the issue
Yes,
is.
that is the issue.
And I think it's because of the history of it and the fact that it has got so much with it. So I think if they were to make something that empowered the black community, all over it. Like I mean, this is a really weird example, but Black Panther.
Yeah.
Incredible film.
Yeah.
Loved it. And the fact that even though it's a fictitious nation of Wakanda, they've taken so many influences from different African nations, and it's great. And the black community is really getting behind it, and they're saying it's so good that there's a film where 98% of the people in it are black. Great, absolutely all for it. And I think it's showing them in such a wonderful light, and everyone's loving it. But that's the problem with Gucci, is that they're essentially showing something which has got a really bad history associated with it.
So is the problem now that us as the receivers are reacting to it negatively? I mean, is the problem here Gucci making a bad piece or the receivers interacting with it negatively?
The fault lies entirely with Gucci on this one.
Okay.
And I do think that occasionally things get blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous thing to say as a straight white privileged man. But I do think that sometimes things do get blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
In this instance, however, I really don't. I just think Gucci were idiots. It was a stupid thing to do. They didn't think, and I think it's pointed out a massive flaw in their diversity. But I mean, Ogilvy, for a fact, we were not a particularly diverse crowd.
No.
We're getting better, but we weren't at the time.
Yeah.
But even I know that if I was going to produce something like that, there would be someone turning around going, nah, you can't do that, James. Like, what do you think you're doing, mate? Like, go outside, go to the gym, come back in an hour, we'll have fixed your mess. Like, we're not sorting this.
Yeah. See, the way that I'm looking at it is, I would like to live in a utopian world where everything's perfect and
of course,
we're all, hunky-dory and everyone's happy. So in my mind, when I'm seeing this piece, I get really frustrated at the fact that we're letting them not get away with it, but we're giving them what they want, which is effectively whoever's made this piece must have had an idea in their mind. I think it would be a great idea if we make a jumper with representation of a black person. Yeah. Because they want to offend them or whatever. I don't know. No one knows the actual, reason why it was made.
Yeah.
But I think by us reacting so negatively toward it, we're effectively giving them what they want.
Yeah. A platform, a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
there's the whole thing of, did they do it deliberately? Did someone go, how far can we push this? And actually release something without it being super offensive. And if that's what they wanted, then they did it. They absolutely
I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because I think we're living in a day and age now where everyone is testing the limits.
Yeah, controversy rules.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, I would say whoever's made this, most probably did make it for the purpose of offending. But then at what point do we fall for the trick?
Yeah.
Because we're intelligent enough to just see it and just be like, okay, fine. They've tried to, offend us. How should we react? What's the most appropriate reaction? Is it to get upset, get angry, get pissed off? Or do we just say, this is another piece that's trying to offend the black community. We're not going to buy it. We're not going to help it trend or whatever.
Yeah, it's that. We will probably never know if it was ignorant or if it was deliberate. And I wonder if it was... I always think about this when I also see controversial ads. So, for example, the Protein World ads that came out a couple of years ago. Remember the yellow one with the girl in the yellow bikini? Yes. That said, "Are you Beachbody ready?"
Yeah.
And obviously, every single woman in the world hated it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, fair, because I would hate it if it was an absolutely shredded dude up there and it was basically going, "Hey, James, you fat." I'm like, well, yeah, great, cheers, mate, thanks for that. Like, screw you. But again, I don't think in the sort of boardroom or the conversation they went, let's create something controversial. I think probably what happened is this person came up with the design for the jumper and went, check this out. This is pretty controversial. They didn't say anything, and then basically everyone else just sort of knew. I don't think it was ever discussed. I don't think you could ever say in a meeting, let's make a racist jumper and sell it so that
that's
we can
edgy.
get,
I quite like
so
that.
we
Let's
can
put it
get
out there.
Marketing, yeah.
In
I
other
don't
words.
think you can do that, because if someone came to me and was like, hey, yeah, mate, I want you to make a racist ad, no, I'm not going to do that. But if you start to create something, but no one ever says it, but you kind of know it's controversial, I think that's probably how these things get made. It's just everyone knows, but no one says anything. It's like the new Airbnb, the new Slack logo. Have you seen it? Which just looks like swastika made out of penises. Look it up. It's bizarre.
Wow.
I have no idea how it got made, and like, no idea how it got through all the people or the necessary people to get released. But it's bizarre.
It is scary when you think about it from that angle. The amount of people that it needs to get through to, and for them to just say, "Yeah, looks good." Yeah.
How do these people still have jobs?
These bloody hell. So we're on our last two final sort of topics, and we'll move through them quite swiftly. The first one, again, really, really tragic bit of news: 10 youth players killed at the Flamengo football training site fire in Rio de Janeiro. So what really shocked me was the fact that this was a fully refurbished site, only made 2 months ago, and it has taken the lives of 10 youth players. But that's not sort of what I really want to talk about. It's whether the financial distribution in football is... What does this tell us about money in football? How it's being distributed, sort of why the business of football is so prominent in Europe, and yet stuff like this happens in South America.
Yeah, I again, it's the age old, not really argument, but the age old battle cry of distribution of wealth. How so few can have so much, and then so many can have so little. And I mean, it was someone worked out that the top 8 richest people in the world, and I just put up 4 fingers for some reason, but the top 8 richest people in the world have a combined wealth of the bottom 50%.
Yeah.
And you just sit there, and I mean, like, most of them are incredibly philanthropic. Like, I mean, Bill Gates has given away just swathes of his fortune, and like, I mean, and he does it quite publicly, but I'm sure the others in that top give away huge amounts. Like J.K. Rowling, you heard she's the first person to be declassified as a billionaire because of charitable donations. First person ever. So it's amazing. So a lot of people are doing good, but then particularly in like sport and football, where there is so much money, and then it's getting distributed incorrectly.
What's happening to the culture in football? Because this is something that's been going on for years and years and years, where football players, they make their dreams come true. They sign for a massive club, hundreds of thousands of pounds every month.
Yeah.
And this whole lifestyle of becoming a footballer has suddenly been glorified to getting whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then everything else being suppressed. So like, what, morally speaking, what's going on? Is the football industry, other people behind football, do they need to do a better job of sort of nurturing players into, living... this is really controversial. Do we need to tell football players how to live their lives?
I think, again, it's that whole thing of celebrity. And, people get really surprised when an incredibly physically attractive, very fit, very wealthy human being with a lot of influence cheats on their partner. And people are surprised that this person who believes they're completely invincible does bad things. Again, like a lot of footballers do help out the community. So, for example, the Beckham Foundation is fantastic. And my brother, one of his friends who couldn't ride a bike, also disabled like my little brother, they really wanted this special bike, but they just couldn't afford it. It was like $3 or $4 to do. So they wrote to the Beckham Foundation. They had to do a quick background check, and then they got sent the money.
Wow.
And no one ever heard about it. I know it's only $4, which is nothing to Beckham, but they are doing it. So I don't think it's down to the individual. Again, I think it's down to the industry. It's down to, like you said, do we need to be nurturing the younger footballers? Do we need to be ensuring that, things are safe and that the money there is getting distributed more equally? So, does every single Premier League team have to have a sponsored team elsewhere in the world? That sort of thing. It's like part of their corporate responsibility. And I don't know if football clubs have a corporate responsibility. I'm sure they do if they're that size, but it should be something that should be nurtured, and it shouldn't be. It's great that a lot of the footballers do stuff like that, and you hear all the time opening academies, doing this, and like LeBron James is opening up that academy, and incredible stuff. It's great. It's great that they're doing it, but actually that's not their job.
Yeah,
it's their responsibility to do it as an incredibly wealthy and influential person. It's their responsibility, but it's not their job. And I think it should be the job of these clubs in order to ensure that actually everyone's getting a fair chance at it. And it's more than a fair chance. It's people aren't dying.
I blame FIFA, to be honest. I think FIFA are it's the worst establishment, one of the worst establishments in the world.
Yeah.
No one knows what is actually going on in FIFA. I mean, I couldn't even tell you what FIFA stands for. I don't even know what their agenda is.
Yeah.
But whenever we see them in the media, they've always got some level of controversy surrounding them. There's always corruption.
News. Yeah.
And as a football fan, I'm a massive football fan, and I'm a massive Arsenal fan, and I love my club. But in the recent years, we've just seen everything become so commercialized, and it's just sucked out sort of the fun out of and sort of the passion out of football itself.
Again, it's money.
Yeah, money talks. Money does talk.
It's money. And
I just don't see anything. I don't see the situation improving.
No.
I don't see much passion going. I remember like 10 years ago, us Arsenal fans, we would debate about playing styles, about whether our team played an attractive way of football, or what was happening with tactics and why the manager wasn't performing, why certain players weren't performing. Nowadays, if we go to a game, we're talking about how much money we should be spending in the summer, and why this certain which players should be coming to what clubs. So Neymar, the most ridiculous transfer fee ever, 200 mil for Neymar to PSG, and now he wants to go back to Barcelona. Crazy. And then the worrying thing is that Qatar, the World Cup is coming up in the next few years, and this whole controversy surrounding Qatar, where they've basically bought themselves the World Cup.
At what point does it cease being a game and becoming just a complete business corporate strategy?
We're getting there.
Yeah,
we're en route.
Yeah, but and again, I think that's never particularly going to change, because unfortunately money talks, and I hate to admit it, but if someone turned around to me and was like, "Look, you can piss off a bunch of fans, but we'll be able to put another floor on your house,"
tempted.
really like the sound of that rooftop pool. So sorry, gang, it's happening. I would. So I'd like to say I wouldn't.
Absolutely,
I would.
No, and speaking of money talks, we move on to the last topic, and that's Mike Ashley, owner of Newcastle United. He is attempting.
What's going on there?
What is going on there? He's so recently he's been the owner of Newcastle United for a while. He's recently bought up House of Fraser. I don't know when he bought Evan Cycle or Agent Provocateur, but now he is attempting to bid for Patisserie Valerie. Right, and he did bid for HMV, but he was outbid by somebody else. And you know, I listen to a lot of LBC. So on my way to work, I just love listening to crackheads come on and just talk shit. So and there's always this topic on High Street, the crisis on High Street, why people aren't, you know, shopping on the High Street. And when I see someone like Mike Ashley buying up all of these High Street stores, I just think, hold on a minute, you know that people are not going to be buying from High Streets anymore. The next 10, 20 years, everyone's going to be, you know, buying online. I mean, the majority of people do buy online. Yeah,
but you look at like from just a raw investment point of view, it's very clever because he's not gone for stores that are similar. He's really diversifying his portfolio. So he's going FMCG, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's going transport. It's a very interesting tactic. So I think I don't think there's any hidden agenda. I think he's just a very, very clever investment.
He's a billionaire. Person. What's his net worth is 2.1 billion?
Yeah. But again, it's that whole thing of like, if I won the lottery, even if it was the 10 mil one, I'd stop working. I'd be like, this is all I need. I'd just buy myself a nice little house. I'd buy another little house to rent out, and I would just live off the interest, and it would be great.
Exactly.
It would be so good. But then when you get to that level of wealth, so you've got $1 billion. Yeah. Okay, well, here's me on my 60-foot yacht. Hang on, that guy's got an 80-foot yacht. I want that. And then when it starts to be, you know, like I might get jealous of my mates' new shoes. Like, oh, I wish I could have them. Like one of my mates, Jamie's got this really good collection of shoes, and I wish I could have them all, but I can't. And that's just the level of like almost small time jealousy of me going, oh, I wish I had an extra 60 quid to buy those shoes. For them, for the billionaires, he's going, I wish I had another $1 billion to buy another company. And like, it's just the again, it's that division of wealth. Of
capitalism at its finest.
Yeah, and it talks, it works. Right. It shouldn't, but it works.
So Mike Ashley on route to become the richest. Who is the richest British man?
Oh, it's I think he's Indian, but I don't want to say that in case he's not. But he's the steel merchant.
Okay.
Who lives on the road right next to Kensington Gardens. And I've seen his house. I used to run past it every day, and it used to be my sort of little bit of inspiration. And I used to run past it, and it is beautiful. Really? It looks like sort of a private boarding school in Surrey. It is so big, and like I saw it at Christmas, and it's massive. And then I saw the one next to that, and I was like, that's also a really nice house. Read up online, it's his daughter's. He bought it for us.
Oh no!
It's not there.
So typical.
I've forgotten his name. I think it begins with an L, but I don't want to say it because
Richard Branson, is he British? This is going to sound really stupid.
He's British.
He's British.
Yeah.
I would have thought he would be the
richest. He's up there. Yeah. He's up there. Again, I think a lot of it's charity. He's given away a huge amount to charity, but he's in the sort of same realm as Elon Musk, where they're putting so much money into things that might not happen, that a lot of their wealth is getting eaten away because they're trying to save the human race, or they're trying to, they've got a higher agenda than just making money. Whereas this steel merchant, I think he's the richest, and don't hold me to that in case I'm wrong. He's just making money. He's not trying to do anything else. Whereas I mean, Elon Musk, for all of his flaws, and I lost so much respect for him when he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and smoked. I was like, mate, you can't pull it off. What are you doing? Like,
I saw that. I was thinking,
like, mate, smoke in your free time. That's fine. Do what you want, but then don't. And like, he was trying to smoke it like a gangster. Like,
I was gonna say that. The worst part of it was the way he was doing it. And there's just that there's that image. Like, I don't know if they made a meme out of it, but it's just like he's got his eyes half closed. Like, and I'm just like, no, come on,
mate, you're a 50-year-old billionaire who's a billionaire from tech. you're not gangster. Deal with it.
Deal with
Like,
it.
You're
Straight
not
up.
gangster. Like, smoke weed, that's fine, but don't try and make
Yeah,
it
yeah,
look
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
Because you're just making it so much worse. It's like when like politicians wear like those plastic wristbands to like support the England World Cup or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You don't look cool. Everyone just thinks you look like a dickhead. Like, what are you doing? Like, accept the fact that you're a politician or you're a billionaire investor.
yeah.
You're never going to be cool. Deal with it.
It's such a fucking interesting topic to speak. I could talk about billionaires and millionaires and moral rights and what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing all day. But that is the end.
Is that the end?
That is the end. Unbelievable.
That was quick, man.
Episode 25. Well, we're on an hour and a half.
No.
Yeah, hour and a half.
Madness.
1 minute, 29 seconds and 57. No, 1:29:50. Well, it's 1:30 now.
1:30 now.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
1.5 on the dot. So, wow, man, that was crazy.
That was
usually,
really good fun, dude.
Usually what happens is I sit in a car and talk myself until my throat hurts, and then I nudge my co-host like, "You got anything to say?" So no, this has been very, very refreshing.
No, it's been good fun, man. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah,
thoroughly
it's
enjoyed it.
been awesome.
Very insightful.
Yeah, had some really cool topics.
And yeah, no, it was. We delved into a lot of different things, different avenues, and it has been very useful as well.
Yeah,
it's
man,
not just one of them
fun.
things where we just talk about stuff. We're talking about meaningful things.
I've really enjoyed it. It's been really good fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
James, thank you for coming on, because honestly, you've saved me. You've saved this podcast.
Not at all, man. It's been really good crack. I've really enjoyed it.
So Posh James, PJ.
Yep. PJ.
PJ in the house.
I like PJ. I can deal with that.
I like PJ as well. I think PJ sounds great. He's got a bit of edge to it.
As I'm sat here pretty much in PJs with food stains on from my meal last night. It's not great.
Best thing to do. No, honestly, thank you for coming onto the show.
Yeah.
I hope the listeners have enjoyed it.
Me too.
I have. And if you did enjoy it, why not, spend the next minute heading over to our Twitter page, Instagram page, dropping us a little follow. It doesn't cost a thing.
Yeah.
Just a click.
Yeah.
At Podcast Tomato, so Instagram, Twitter. We're on SoundCloud as well, so go follow us on that. But if that doesn't rock your boat, then go onto YouTube. We will be implementing videography soon. So video podcasts will be available.
It's the latest investment.
Well, we're trying to scrape the pennies.
Yeah.
We're trying to see what we can come up with. But
peas.
yeah, I really do want to put start putting videos in. So videos on YouTube will be up. And if you're not into videos, then you're driving or whatever, iTunes, Spotify, we're there. Check us out. We're also on anything else, Stitcher. I don't know what else you guys. I'll tell you, there's so many platforms to listen to podcasts. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, thank you very much. Thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Episode 25, quarter of a century, done.
It's done.
So we'll see you next week.
Cheers, man. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right.
Cheers, dude.
And we're out.